everybody. Welcome back to another Raw Read pop-up. Yes, I am popping up. Why? Because we got something to talk about. Of course, y'all know I've been on these internet streets. Now, I'm not doing a read because I had to take a minute. I really did. Sometimes these internet streets really wear on you. And all of these ugly old hags, these arrangers, all of these toadies, these haters, these trolls, these flying monkeys, and these smelly hags has really been getting on my nerve. They have. Ever since this whole thing went down with Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor, yeah, they have been on these internet streets talking all manner of shit. And I'm going to say the word about Harry and Meghan. And I have to regulate my temper because sometimes it'll get away from me. I'm telling you, it is like a mousetrap. It will come back and boy, it slams hard. So I have to take a minute, gather myself together, and try to keep from cussing everybody out because they are talking all of this nonsense. We're going to discuss it in a little bit. But yeah, so I had to take me a minute to try to calm down a little bit. Y'all know I can get wound up. I can. So that is why I didn't really post anything last night because I had to settle down a little bit because being on those internet streets and all of these derangers and especially these ugly old hags, it's the ugly old hags for me, the bitter ones, the envious ones who absolutely do nothing but talk all out the side of their necks, all of this nonsense about Meghan. And I have to admit, it gets on my nerves. And so to keep myself from having to be in Twitter jail, keep myself from having to have my channel taken down, I have to take a minute because I cuss everybody. I'm a Southern girl and we absolutely have no hesitation in throwing hands, moving furniture, and cussing a biatch out. We don't care how educated we are. We will absolutely take it to that primal level if you take it there. I have always said when you go low, I go all the way straight to hell. And to try to govern myself a little bit, I had to take a break. I did. Because you would not believe the nonsense that these people are out here talking, trying to equate what Andrew Mountbatten Windsor did to Harry and Meghan. You know, I saw one squatty who said that these derangers show how deranged they are with every post they make, because how can you equate Harry with Andrew? Harry has not been around here effing little girls. What are you talking about? So you're going to equate a man protecting his family to a man who absolutely F little girls. I cannot. That's why I had to take a break because I had to take several deep breaths and get a good night rest in order to come back and deal with these folks. I did because I'm telling you, my temperature, my thermometer was sitting on hot. When it comes to Harry and Meghan, you know, I am really protective because they don't bother anybody. I hate bullies. And Harry and Meghan is such a, they're a couple who doesn't bother anybody. All they do is mind their business. And it just seems like so many people take that as an opening to take shots at them. And, it really makes my jaws tight. It really does. So that's what I have been doing. I took a little mini break there to try to gather myself before I read. How do they say it? I had to check myself before I wrecked myself. So now I am in a better headspace, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to clear all these biatches out. Yes, I have been on X, formerly known as Twitter, and I have been clearing them out. And I am not the only one. I'm telling you, squatties are dragging them for filth. All of these derangers, all of these ugly old hags with their jealous arses and their inability to keep Harry and Meghan's name out of their mouths. But I digress. Let's get on to what we came here for, what we came to discuss. And we want to discuss Willie. Willie has just about committed treason, Handy. I mean, I have never saw a son that treats his father with so much disdain and disrespect as Willie. Now, Charles did not shank the Queen in public. Now, he would shank her up, down, and sideways behind the scenes, but he would never ever show disrespect in public. Why? Because the public loved the Queen, and he knew that it wouldn't go down like that. People would not stand for his disrespect of the Queen. Well, he doesn't have the love of the people like the Queen does, and so Willie feels free to shank him in public as well as in private. And that's exactly what he's doing. I'll put this up. And look at this story from Tom Thumbhead Sykes. It looks like he is back in the good graces of Willie Boy. Because look what he wrote. It says William is king in all but name after masterminding Andrew's disgrace. Now they know that that is a lie. That's a lie. I don't believe it for 1 minute. Charles would never stand for it. This is clearly a story that has been spoon-fed to Tom Thumbhead Sykes. Now, Charles is not in the same condition as the Queen. Now, the Queen was well into her 90s and at times reported, allegedly, that she was mentally impaired. Charles is none of that. Now, he's trash and he is weak-kneed and has a weak back when it comes to his horse, but he can be very ruthless. So I don't believe this for 1 minute. This is William shanking him and showing him nothing but disrespect, showing him his arse to kiss. Willie wants to be seen as this. Take charge. I am going to be a fabulous king. You are going to be able to be so proud of me. And at the same time showing everybody what kind of disaster he really is going to be. Because what kind of son shanks his father like this in public? Like I said, Charles, he had enough sense to not do it in public. William is stupid. Like I said, he's king dumb as a rock. He's king dumb as a rock. And as it goes on to say, it says King Charles vacillated on the Andrew question for 3 years. William fixed it in 2 weeks after being appalled by his father's handling of the affair. Now, you know that's a lie. I cannot with William. I cannot. How can you be so power hungry? And all he's going to do is F it up even more. Now, the monarchy is circling the drain, but King Dumb as a Rock is going to put a fork in it and it will be done. I'm just saying. And the squatty that posted this article said, right on cue, friends of Prince William, aka Willie Macbeth himself, are out undermining King Charles and anointing Willie as the true king. Having a son like William truly is Shakespearean tragedy. Charles got the treacherous heir he deserves. Where is the lie? Because he was equally as treacherous as Willie. I mean, we all saw the Queen in her last days. Pictures of her with her coat buttoned askew. Yeah, she absolutely wasn't even dressed properly in some pictures. And it was horrible. You could see how sick she was, and they continued to prop her up and put her out there. And it was clear to everyone that Charles and that private secretary that he had put in place for the Queen was the ones actually running the show. In the end, they were running the show because they were able to pull off a quiet coup by getting rid of the Queen's trusted private secretary and putting in place Charles's man. So I'm not saying that Charles is not getting what he deserved when it comes to his son Willie's treachery. I'm just saying it's pretty treacherous of Willie because Charles was smart enough to keep his treachery undercover. He had the ability to finesse. He had the ability to come off as the dutiful son. Now remember when the Queen had her jubilee, he got up there and talked about mommy, mommy, and he was shanking mommy at every turn. He was, but he knew how to play his role. Now King Dumb as a Rock, he do not. Here he is having it to spill all over the pages of those rags over there. His treachery. He is showing himself to be a traitor. And he is not really coming off as a good son. He is not. He's not coming off as a good person. I mean, and he's not. And he's not. But the mask is slipping, and they are too dumb to know that the mask has slipped. People see these people for who they are, and King Dumb as a rock. He doesn't understand that. Yeah, we see Charles for who he is. Charles has been exposed, but he's so dumb he doesn't know that so has he. He absolutely has been exposed, and he keeps exposing himself more and more each day. And people are not going to think kindly of him and his evil twin wife. Yes. And I'm going to put this up. And this particular squatty reposted the other squatty's post and said this: truly, like I never thought in a million years that the type of heir Charles would sire would stab him in the back time and time and time again. But truth be told, this is what Charles deserves. He is receiving his karma for the way he treated Harry and Meghan, and also how he treated Diana. Him and his horse schemed and connived and absolutely shanked everybody in the way, including his mother and his two sons. Yes, he was absolutely ruthless on his way to the throne. Him and his horse. And now this is their comeuppance. Don't get it twisted. Everything that William is doing to him is well deserved. But William will get his comeuppance as well because he's not fooling anybody. He is going to be a train wreck as king. All of the treachery, all of the disrespect, all of the backstabbing, all of the things that he is doing behind the scenes to undermine his father is going to come back on him. And it's just a matter of time. And unlike Charles, it's not going to be his heir coming for him. It is going to be the people. The people, they're going to come for William because he is so disingenuous, so performative, that the people are going to figure him out. And once they figure him out, they're going to come for him. And it's not going to be pretty. And that is the reason why I believe that he is stacking the House of Lords in his favor, with, Simon Case joining the House of Lords, because it has to go through them anything that dismantles the monarchy. So he's putting his people in place right now. But once the people speak and they decide that the monarchy is no more, oh, the monarchy will be no more. I'm just saying. And I'm going to put this up, and this is a repost, and the original post is talking about what Dan Wooten, aka Martin Brannan, is out in these internet streets celebrating treason. And that's the only way you can put it, because if you're celebrating the heir taking the throne from the present monarch, you are supporting and condoning treason. And it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what Dan Martin Brannan Wooten said. Prince William has seized control of the British royal family from a dying King Charles. How vicious, but not surprising, because these are the kind of people that are attracted to that monarchy. I mean, people of low or no character, no moral compass. This is who these people are that circle around that monarchy and is a part of that monarchy. You can't convince me of anything different. Like kind attracts like kind, and he just wants to be a part of it. He wants to have his foot somehow in the door of that monarchy so he can have some kind of social status. It's all about what they can get out of that family. And that family is all about what they can get out of the people. It is a mutual grift at this point. I'm so happy Harry and Meghan is gone from there, because they would have never survived. Because good people cannot survive in the presence of evil. They just cannot. And that monarchy and the people who absolutely is attracted to it and is a part of it is nothing but evil. You can't convince me of anything any different. A person who would say something like this, that's evil. But he goes on to say, while I have genuine sympathy for the monarch on a personal level, sure you do. Sure you do, Dan. Dan is nothing more than a parasite, a one-cell amoeba living off of the scraps, off of the dead skin of that family over there. That's him, and that's all he wants for himself. He just wants to have a part of it. This man is, in my opinion, he is a piece of shist. He is. He is a piece of shist. But I digress. He goes on with his nonsense and says his weakness over Andrew, not to mention Harry and Meghan, has imperiled the future of the monarchy, and his heir knows that. And this right here is nothing but Willie's fault. This is Willie's fault, because he has empowered these people to be able to speak openly with such disrespect towards his father, who is the monarch. He is still alive. He is yet alive. But yet and still these people feel empowered to be this disrespectful. Why? Because Willie has put it out there that he has seized power. He wants people to believe that Charles did nothing. He did everything. And I just want to know how he was able to do that when him and Kitty Cat are on their, seventh vacation? Stop it. Stop it. Now, I am no fan of Charles, but this right here, I'm telling you, it's not the flex that Willie thinks it is. It absolutely do not look good for a son to take this kind of shank to their father, who is supposedly suffering of cancer. Charles has a cancer card too. I think Willie forgets that Charles has a cancer card as well. And it's not going to go down with the elderly population of Great Britain, who is the people who support the monarchy the most. He don't know that he is absolutely moving really, really slimy. And people are starting to see exactly who he is, because you really have to be slimy. When I say slimy, I mean slimy, in order to do this to your cancer stricken father. How does he think that looks to people? Dumb as a rock. King Dumb as a Rock strikes again. And the squatty that posted this from Dan Wooden said, Zanny, oh my God, the head honcho wants Charles gone. This is the most direct I've ever seen. Lord. Exactly. He has the finesse of a sledgehammer. He thinks that this is making him look, strong. It's making him look ruthless. That's what it's making him look like. His father is cancer stricken and he wants to take advantage of him. It's not a good look. It's not the flex he thinks it is. I have said this time and time again. Get your popcorn, because this next kingdomship is going to be entertaining. I promise you. And the squatty that reposted this squatty said, oh my God. Isn't this treason? Yes, it is. By every definition, this is treason. It says, and Dan is gloating that William has essentially committed a coup. And I mean saying it out loud and saying it loud and proud that William has essentially committed treason, a coup against the government of the United Kingdom. Because that's exactly what he's saying. He's usurping the power of the king. And I'm going to say it one more time for the ones in the back. I'm going to say it a little louder. This is not the flex that they think it is. I promise you, this is going to come back to bite them, to bite Willie. I promise you, it's just a matter of time. Because if he thinks Charles is going to let him get away with this, oh, baby, get your popcorn. Get your popcorn. Because it is going to be some leaks to come out. I promise you. And it's not going to be pretty for Willie. Because one thing about Charles, he is going to go down swinging. And if you think Charles don't have some dirt on Willie, just sit back, pop your popcorn, pour your wine, and get ready. And of course, they have to drag Harry and Meghan into their mess, saying that since Willie Leaks has committed treason and taken over the crown, taken over the throne from the sitting monarch, that somehow Harry and Meghan should be terrified. And I keep on asking, of what? Of what is Harry and Meghan supposed to be terrified of? I mean, what is Willie gonna do to them? He can't cut off their money. He can't take their house away from them. He can't take their security away from them. What is he gonna do? Take those old raggedy titles that nobody cares anything about? Take them and shut the F up about it. Other than that, we don't care. I mean, I guess he's just going to take his Harry and Meghan's coat of arms flag from Windsor Chapel. I guess that's what they're going to do. I guess Harry and Meghan is supposed to be terrified of that. These people are crazy. They are certifiable. I cannot believe that these people walk on the same streets that I walk on, and not is somebody running around trying to catch them in a net. They are just that crazy that they think that this man can do something to Harry and Meghan, a independently wealthy couple that's minding their business. Take those titles, take them, because baby, I will love that, because it is going to prove how worthless those titles are. It is just going to expose them even more. I say, have at it. Please do so. And when you do, shut the F up and let this couple go on with their lives. Do that, because it is not going to stop anything over on this side of the pond. Meghan is going to continue to be successful. Harry is going to continue to be a well-respected world advocate. It is all going to keep going. The world will continue to turn. So do that. This squatty is posting an article from that old Maureen Callahan. Yes, that tragic figure. I'm telling you, she looks straight out of the trailer park. She is trash on that level. And wear, I know, 2 inches of makeup to cover up that ugly face of hers. And she wrote this in the fail saying, William is now king. More treason. More treason. William is now king. Can you believe that? And this is what they say. It's an extraordinary power grab that will leave Harry and Meghan quaking. But Diana predicted it all. Maureen McCallahan. This is what she is saying, trying to use Diana against Harry and Meghan, saying Harry and Meghan should be quaking. About what? About what? Everything that they could do to Harry and Meghan has already been done. And like I said, those titles, keep them. And this squatty posted that and said this. Oh my God, people are in the comments asking if King Charles is dead. Yes, yes, is King Charles is dead. I am dying. I am dying. It says William is awful. He is. And like I said, this is not a good look. And Charles is not going to go down without a fight, baby. I love it. It's getting good. It's getting good. Listen, go to Walmart. Make sure you go somewhere, like go to the grocery store. Get your popcorn. Make sure you are stocked up, because it is about to go down. Charles is not going to go for this. You think Charles is going to go for them saying that William is king now in the Daily Fail? I love it, y'all. It is getting so delicious. Y'all, I got to stop. I got to stop. But this squatty said, oh, the irony. Prince Harry, the son King Charles betrayed and allowed to be scapegoated, has always been the better choice. Unlike William, Harry would have been a loyal ally to an undeserving father. King Charles III has a history of poor choices. And now the chickens have come home to roost. Where is the lie? Because Charles does have a history of very, very poor choices. Look at who is sitting next to him on the throne. His horse, not Diana, his horse. That is one of the biggest poor choices that Charles has ever made. I mean, that right there started the snowball down the hill. And it has been downhill ever since for him. These choices that he has always made to try to put a square peg in a round hole. And because of that, all he has ever gotten out of it is frustration. Because Camilla was such a non-starter, but he wanted to make her the starter. They chose to get rid of Diana and then use Diana's little baby boy to clear the way for that woman to ascend to the throne. And then in return for that, he made a deal with his mother in order to make sure that she would put her stamp of approval on this horse to ascend to the throne with him. And this is why he is in the predicament that he is in today. He is in this predicament because of his own doing, his trash behavior, and him being a trash father. Because maybe William would have been a little better if his mom was allowed to live and he would have been a better father. Maybe William would have been a better person. But no, he had blinders on. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to put that square peg in that round hole. And now he has created a monster who is doing nothing but trying to undo him. And the very one that would have been there, like this particular squatty said, that would have been there as an ally, he did everything that he could to Diana him. And if you don't think that's true, why would you leave your child out on an island, take his security, and then drop a dime on their location? What are you doing there? What are you doing? You're hoping someone does the job. So this is Charles. This is Charles. All of this is his comeuppance. Willie is just consequences of Charles's action, Willie's behavior. But Willie has his own chickens to come home to roost. He does. But I love this for Charles. I love this for Charles because the very child that he threw away and tried to Diana would have been there to stand with him side by side. He would have, but no, he could not see that. All he could see was what he wanted. And now he's gotten what he wants and it's not working out for him. It's not. And that's the same way it's going to happen with Willie. And I'm going to put this one up. This squatty said, to this day, William has not accepted that his father met with his brother behind his back. That's why he has his lapdogs going around saying that he's the one who who made the decision to strip his uncle of his titles. William is such a little man. What a disgrace. Exactly. Exactly. And I think a lot of those leaked emails that started to come out before this book, because I believe that Andrew and the monarchy would have probably been able to survive if it hadn't have been a slow build, a slow burn. Because if you remember how this whole thing popped off, it popped off with emails first. This is before the book came out. Some emails. Somebody was leaking emails. And that is how it all popped off. And then the book came in and compounded it. It was somebody who really wanted to make sure that Charles was taken out. And I believe it was Willie. I really, really do. And that is why he's just absolutely trying to do everything he can to try to separate himself from Charles and even the Queen. We're going to talk about that too. But yes, he's doing everything he can to try to make himself the hero of this story. And I believe this was the plan of Kensington Palace. Their PR team really felt like William was going to come out on top of this. And he don't know that when a fire starts to burn, it doesn't care who it burns. It engulfs everyone. And he don't understand, baby. He is just as tarnished as Charles. I mean, the blowback has absolutely been complete. Everybody has some on them. I don't know why he think that somehow he was going to come out of this clean. No, you don't get to come out of it clean because you knew about it. You absolutely knew about it. You rode to church with Andrew after all of this went down, after the money had been paid, all of that. Y'all circled the wagons around him, and you cannot get past that. You were in it up to your neck, and people are not going to buy the nonsense that's coming out of Kensington Palace. They're not. So he can just stop it. He is just as tainted. He is just as smeared. He is just as stained as Charles is. And can you imagine how emotionally broken you have to be to sit off a bomb like this to pay your father back for meeting with your brother? Because that is some people's theory. And I am kind of on board with that. I have always said that the whole start of this whole thing with those leaking of the emails, that came from Kensington Palace. That came from Kensington Palace. Yeah. So yeah, it is a ongoing war between Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. And William, in my belief that he dropped those emails. He got this ball to rolling to pay Charles back. Now, what is Charles going to do? What is he going to do? Because you best believe, like I said, Charles is not going to go down easy. He's going to be swinging when he go down. If he go down. I'm just saying. And I'm going to put this up because this particular squatty just absolutely comes in and says it the way it needs to be said. And what I was saying, it's not a good look. William thinks he is looking strong when he is absolutely looking like a piece of you know what. How could you behave in this manner when Charles has a cancer card in his possession? This particular squatty said this: Charles is still coughing through cancer, and William already briefing that he's king in all but name. Cold, calculated, crown chasing. And look what he posted. It says, coughing crown, clueless heir. Prince William claiming he's king in all but name, while Charles is still wheezing through cancer treatments. That's not just tone deaf, it's tactless to say the least. His dad's battling illness, and instead of support, he is polishing the crown and briefing the press. It reeks of entitlement and cruelty. Now, right there, that's the tea. That is the tea. And that is the reason why it's not going to be the flex he thinks it is. Playing your father weak, playing your father as a disaster while he is suffering through performative cancer. Like I said, Willie forgot that his dad has a cancer card too. And it is not going to go down very well with the elderly population of the United Kingdom because they are the one that supports the crown. And him treating his father so cruelly, I'm just saying, that's the tea right there. That is the tea. It says, this isn't leadership, it's a PR land grab. Once again, William shows he's more interested in optics than empathy. The monarchy's supposed to be about service, not secession speed runs. When your father's still alive, still reigning, and still coughing, maybe don't act like he's already been boxed and buried. Exactly. Exactly. He is so tone deaf. He is absolutely so dumb. Do you see why I call him King Dumb as a Rock? Because you have to be dumb as a rock to think that this is a good idea. The people that surround him is dumber than he is. Why would you think it would be a good idea to do this to a man who has a cancer card? I cannot. Look at the bottom down there. This squatty says, it seems William's already measuring the curtains at Windsor and whispering to the press that he is running the show. I mean, this is not a good look. And he will find out more sooner than later that is not a good look. He misplayed this hand. And this squatty said, good King Harry, the people's prince, Prince William, treacherous, putrid son, not the stuff true kings are made of. Where is the lie? Where is it? It says his father is riddled with cancer, yet works harder. Willie's response, not how can I help? Rather, put Kensington Palace PR team to work taking his father's credit. Hashtag treason. Yes, this is how it's going to work out for Willie. Yes, this is how it's going to work out for Willie. I'm just saying. And Willie is not just out here briefing on Charles and trashing Charles. He's out here briefing on the dead queen and trashing the dead queen as well. Now, this was an article that appeared in page 6, which is a Murdoch on, I don't want to cuss, but it's an online magazine. I'll put it that way. But this is what appeared in it. It says Prince William wasn't very close with Queen Elizabeth for decades, but their relationship evolved formal to warm. Yes, that's what it says. And then it goes down there at the bottom. It says why Prince William wasn't close to his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, for decades. Now, do you think that they would allow that article to come out in a Murdoch paper if it wasn't approved by Kensington Palace? Do you believe that? Because this is the first I have ever saw of anything like this. William distancing himself from the queen. They usually are hugging her dead body. And when they're not hugging her dead body, pretending like they're like her, they are beating Harry and Meghan with it. So I cannot with this. This is because of some of the blowback that the queen has gotten about Andrew. And so he is not only trashing his father, he is distancing himself from the queen, one of the most popular monarchs that have ever reigned, but yet and still, he is willing to do anything, and that includes trashing his dead grandmother. And this is what it says. This squatty reposted it and said, when Murdoch on page 6 tells you that William wasn't close with Queen Elizabeth for decades, they're actually telling you that the Queen couldn't stand Willie. I think it's him trying to distance himself from everybody. He doesn't want to be sullied by what has gone on with Andrew, but it's too late, baby. It is too late. I don't know who is advising him, but what they should be telling him is it's too late. It's too late. Everybody know that all of you knew. Every one of you knew, and you didn't care until it all came out and the people started to care. And this squatty that reposted this said, Prince William, traitor. The queen couldn't stand Kate Middleton, knew she was not queen material. Queen Elizabeth II couldn't stand her, defying protocol. Refused to weigh hemlines, refused to wear her hair up when in public. Queen Elizabeth looked at her extensions with displeasure and a scowl. Not looking at them wigs with a scowl, Queen. Don't tell me you absolutely was looking at her like she was crazy, because she was looking pretty crazy. She does look pretty crazy with them wigs stacked up on her head. Now, I really believe that the Queen didn't necessarily like William because of his behavior. We all know, and everybody has heard who has followed this family, that William has been out of control for a lot of years. And the only way that they had been able to control him was financial. And when he got a hold to that Duchy of Cornwall, where he did not have to be financially dependent on Charles anymore or the Queen, the Queen was passed by the time he got the Duchy of Cornwall. But I digress. He got his hand on that money and he has not acted in a acceptable manner since then. He has not. And so the queen knew exactly what was going on and what was going down with William. William has always had a horrible, horrible temper. He has always have acted out and he has always been mean as a snake. And I'll tell you, I just find it fascinating that William and his PR team over there at Kensington Palace has decided to distance him from Queen Elizabeth II. I mean, that is fascinating. I mean, you would never have saw anything like this in a Murdoch-owned entity. Not at all. It's a reason why it's there. And it's him trying to separate himself from everybody who has sustained some blowback from this whole Andrew thing. And he is not looking down at his own clothes. He has blowback on him. He don't want to acknowledge it, but he has it. This particular squatty said, very true. Queen Elizabeth II saw William as a nasty person who did not have the qualities needed for a monarch, but couldn't do nothing because of his position of birth. She did all she could to enable Harry and Meghan to leave, as she had the foresight to see that William would make their lives hell. Where is the lie? Can you imagine if Harry and Meghan would be under William's thumb as him being king and that nasty, nasty mannequin as queen with her raging jealousy towards Meghan? Can you imagine? I don't want to even imagine it. But yes, now you can give that to Queen Elizabeth. Now, she absolutely allowed Harry and Meghan to go. And, it ain't much to glean that she did well or good, but that's one good thing that she did. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this, about William planning this story to distance himself from the proper queen. What y'all think going on now? I think he trying to avoid blowback, and he already got blowback on himself already. He just don't want to acknowledge it. Y'all tell me what y'all think. And I want to put this up. They want to talk about how hard they're being on Andrew and just absolutely want to just fight each other for the credit of punishing him and driving him out, of the royal family. Look at this. And this was on the news agents. And this is the same woman that did the interview with Andrew. And this is what is being reported. It says, wow, behind closed doors, it seemed the whole family is rallying around Andrew. It has been claimed that William is so sorry about his uncle's mental health, and the king only managed to convince Andrew when he told him, think about what your mother would think. Doing this to the establishment, you will topple all of us. Yes, but William trying to take the credit. Charles is saying to Andrew, and this is what is being reported, that's how they got Andrew to agree to all of this. They brought the queen into it and say, what would his mother think? And if he didn't do it, he was going to topple them all. And they're so concerned about his mental health behind the scene. But yet and still, William, I hear playing story after story after story, how he did all of this. But real journalists, at least I think this lady here is trying to be a real journalist as much as they have real journalists across the pond. And she is reporting this, that they're rallying around him. And this is how they got him to do this. And William had nothing to do with it. But yet and still, here he is backbiting and absolutely stabbing his father in the back, shanking him. And it says, so in other words, it's not about the victims. It's about doing what's right, and it's about saving the family business. It always was about that. Because if it wasn't about saving the family business, then they would have did this, what, 6 years ago or more? Yes, they would have been did this. They only just, acknowledge the pain and suffering of the victims in this last statement from Buckingham Palace. They never said anything about the victims, that they had any compassion for the victims. No, it was all about saving themselves. It says Andrew wasn't banished, he was just given a different mansion to live in. He hasn't lost either his dukedom nor his princely title because they didn't go through Parliament. Now, I did see where Keir Starmer is on board with Parliament going through with removing Andrew from the line of succession. Now, I just read that. Now, because I think it was yesterday or the day before, he was saying that no, they weren't going to do anything. But now the heat keeps on getting hotter because more emails are going to come out. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. That is the reason why now Parliament is saying, yeah, we might need to do something. We need to take him out of the line of succession. And this is what I was talking about when I said more was to come out. And we talked about this in my last podcast. We felt that this was happening because it was more to come out, that it was just the tip of the iceberg. And you know what? We were absolutely right. Look at this. Now, this is a repost. And the original post says this: the palace rung the newspaper to find out what more they had coming out, and they were told more was coming. There's more than 100 emails between Andrew, J.E., and Sarah. So whatever performative decision or damage control. We knew that. We knew that. And it was all because more was to come. The squatties called that one. Yes, they did. They called it. And the squatty that posted this said, wow, wow, wow. Daphne admitted that the palace called one of her newspapers to find out what other info they had on Andrew that was going to be coming out. And Bev actually said out loud that the palace doing that shows how frightened they are. Wow. Well, we know that they were scared, SHIT less. We knew that because we knew none of this would have happened without that. And I will say this until I can't say it anymore. I believe this started with William leaking those emails. Because where did these emails come from? We all know that they all have a phone system, the royal families do. And how we know this is because of Meghan's emails. They had all of her emails, the one they brought to court. Remember that? All I can say is Andrew and Fergie both are stupid to use the royal family phone system because they had the compromise on them and they were just waiting to use it. And they knew about these emails. That is the reason why they cannot, you cannot separate yourself, William. You cannot separate yourself, Willie, because the emails, they have known about this for years. For years, they had these emails. So now pleading ignorance, you think that's going to work? No, that's not going to work, Willie. That's not going to work, Kitty. That's not going to work, Charles. That's not going to work, the horse. It's not even going to work for Edward and Sophie. They all knew. And they had this. And they sat on this. They chose to protect a pedo. And they will never be able to get rid of the stain. I said this in an earlier podcast. They already done pulled the cancer card. They pulled the cancer card too quickly. They pulled it when Meghan said, well, when Piers Morgan outed them as racist, so they said, okay, nothing is going to be as bad as this. We're going to go ahead on and pull the cancer card. Well, now something worse has come along and they can't pull the cancer card. I mean, I don't know what kind of card they're going to come up with. Like I said in my last podcast, maybe Camilla going to come up with dementia or something. I mean, Charles could pull that card. I don't know what card Willie will pull. I'm just saying. All right, I'm gonna put this up because I have gone on much too long. This pop-up has turned into a read, but I did want to include this one. It says, just for the record, absolutely nothing would change if they had no titles. I disagree. I think something would change. I think their popularity would change. It would grow and grow and grow and grow. Everybody loves an underdog. And Harry and Meghan has always been the underdog in this situation. So their popularity is going to grow. The love for this couple is going to grow. And they're going to outshine that family just like they always have, but even more. I mean, Meghan is going to become more successful because there's going to be more people supporting her brand. Harry's going to become more successful because more people are going to want to support his initiatives. So yeah, this is all going to be good for them. It says they are well established and have outgrown the confines of the royal family. They stand strong. I stand with them. So do I. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all a little later. Bye.